all who wish to be heard will be heard. This is a continuation of our last meeting, so I would have someone move to reopen the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's now open. Rich, do you and John want to come up to the table? Do you have anything new to present to us?
No, I haven't changed anything with the plan.
All right.
Katie, the last time had asked me to cite some of the things in the zoning that I saw, and that's why I sent you out that email to do those sites.
Okay. I had a rather long conversation with the building inspector today. The rub in this is that, one, the property is located in the floodplain,
Yes.
and two, what you wish to do is to create a habitable space above the garage. That is the real rub. From the point of view of local code and state code, that would require meeting rather stringent requirements of both codes in order to do that. It would involve probably an expert brought in to assist in it. It is likely to be very expensive. If you were willing to simply have the garage and use the space above it as storage, no bathroom, no studio, then there's no problem. The chances of getting the variance the building inspector thought were reasonably good, but that's the rub.
He seems to be viewing the area above the garage as a separate use. It's a use that's in agreement with the use that's currently on the property. What's there is a house that has a footprint of less than 500 square feet. It's a tiny house. Tiny. It's 19 by 24. It's a tiny, tiny little house. So we're not going to change, we're not going to add another residential use. We're not adding an apartment.
No, but you're adding a use.
You're adding a use.
You're adding a use in a space that conceivably could be considered habitable. The bathroom makes it
Well, let me ask you a
habitable.
question. If it was being added to the house, would that be a problem?
Ask the building inspector.
In other words, put an addition on the house
Right.
instead of,
Instead of making separate.
I can't answer that question.
Could you just ask the question again? What you just asked? Just
If
just repeat it.
instead of the separate building, instead of replacing the building that was there, if we put an addition onto the house, add it to the house,
An addition containing what?
it's the same.
Same thing we were gonna do.
Okay, would that be what Chapter 21254 would consider reconstructed?
It's a new structure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at that point, we're starting, I think it's simpler to view this as reconstructing the building that was there than to have to go in and completely redesign out the house, remove the trees that are there. I don't think it's as in keeping with the 1848 building.
Well,
And I disagree with him in terms of use, and I think the problem sometimes comes into the English language, the word USE. Is it use or use? We're not going to use the property any differently than it's currently being used.
but you
Well,
are,
I
be a
think you
single-family
are.
house.
If you're putting a bathroom in there, you're enabling somebody to spend longer periods of time in that space.
Yes.
Including, it would be reasonable for someone to sleep there.
Yes.
And so adding a bathroom in my mind, takes it from being a building that you would go where you have things stored, where you might do some work, but work that would not take longer than, say, 2 or 3 hours, because eventually you do need to go to the bathroom. And you put that bathroom in there, you enable someone to spend extended periods of time in the house, including it becomes a reasonable sleeping space.
Yes.
In my mind, that is a change of use.
Because you're not always going to own the building.
Right, I'm not gonna be here forever.
So,
No, it's always, and it's never a personal thing, it's always the property.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I sit on that side of the table too, I know that.
Yeah.
It's not a personal thing.
I mean, you can still heat it.
But again, I would go back to, you know, I've had this semantical argument sometimes with people, does a two-family house always have to be one building? Or can a two-family house be two separate buildings on the same property? In this case, yes, we are adding livable square footage with your definition.
Yeah.
But if we add it on as an extension of the house, is that any different?
I don't know. That's a question for the building inspector.
And I'm assuming the house already has a bathroom,
Yes.
so you wouldn't need to add a bathroom.
Oh,
Well, you could put, if you put an addition on, you can put in whatever you want. Put a bedroom up, put a bathroom on, you know.
that's my point. Yes.
I mean, yeah, Carl's right. We can't answer that question.
Rich?
Yeah.
No, but I've gone through with the building inspector, so I already know what his answer
Well,
is.
what's the
but-
answer?
Yeah, well,
But I thought he was going to be here tonight, isn't that? what
no,
we
he
decided
could
last
not
time?
be. I invited him.
Oh, okay.
He
I was
has,
hoping he was going to be here tonight so he could answer that for you, but,
Well, what's his answer?
you know, David, it's taken me this long to calm down, so I don't know if I really want to get caught paraphrasing or giving him what his answer is. His answer
I
is
think
that-
it's a fair question. You brought it up by asking a question. It's a fair question on David's part to know what the answer was to open the store.
yeah, his answer is that you can't add on to that building.
Nope.
Because of,
Just can't.
no, because of
Adding
setbacks and all
density,
that stuff.
setbacks, density,
yeah, he has a whole list of
zoning.
things.
In that property, when I give you a list of zoning, you can't add to it. You can't add to the property. So if we're replacing the barn that's there, that's not adding to it. But if I add to the house, that's adding to it. That's the difference. I don't know if it's that big of a difference, but that is the difference. If we expand the house, that's changing. If you replace the barn, that's not.
Okay, I can see
Except
that.
that the use you want to make of the area above the garage changes that.
Yeah.
But by addition of a bathroom?
Yes.
So every time somebody wants to add a bathroom, we should review their use?
No, oh, no, we're talking
This
about
particular-
this specific building.
The
in
building
this
that
particular zone.
the building that was there before didn't have a bathroom, correct?
I don't know.
It might have had an outhouse,
I don't know what they did.
but it did not have a bathroom. So if you want to replace the building with the same footprint, you're saying you want to make it smaller, but regardless, if you want to put up a building with a second floor and no bathroom, then Carl said, we have no problem.
Do we have a definition of what a barn is in code?
No, we really don't.
I mean,
A barn, garage, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean,
barn or garage, it is space where you do not expect people to be spending extended periods of time. It's a place that is intended primarily for storage and not for people to be spending leisure time, not for people to be sleeping, not for people to be cooking. It's a utility kind of building. And so I think that's what we're saying. It's a utility building now, and if it is converted to something else, then the use has changed because it's then not a utility space, but it's a space for people to spend extended periods of time and possibly sleep.
you're just like my
We're
garage.
not trying to hide that fact. That's why we put the bathroom on the plan, we're not trying to
Yeah.
hide that from you.
No, and I
It's just-
appreciate
the house
that.
is just tiny, just has one small bathroom, and it'd be nice to have another.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
But that's the
House
rub.
is tiny.
That's the rub. I mean, you know, what you're talking about, what I'm talking about is what I've got. I got a garage and I've got a workshop
shop,
up
yeah.
above, but I don't have any bathroom in it. If I go and put a bathroom in it, then it changes the use. In other words, if I sold the house, come on, you know this. If I sold the house and somebody wanted to make apartments out of that 65 feet of garage that I
Right.
have, then the use changes.
No.
If they make half
Just by putting in a bathroom, you can get a permit to put in a bathroom, doesn't make it an apartment.
No, but I'm saying if somebody bought it and wanted to make apartments out of it, that would change the use.
If they made apartments, they'd have to get a permit to do that.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, you'd have to change the use. We're not looking to put an apartment above the garage.
At this point, there are unanswered questions that you have raised. We do not have to act tonight. We can defer this to our next meeting, and this would give you an opportunity to explore other options with the building inspector.
Well, let me ask you the question. Is the barn without the bathroom going to be permitted?
I don't see that that's a problem.
Catherine?
Let me just look and think, because I don't want to answer you.
Oh, okay.
Flippantly. Okay. So you want to rebuild the barn so that it is
The
a
problem is it can't-
structure
it
to
can't
be
be-
used for storage?
It can't be rebuilt at this point. When this project started, this was allowed under the former building inspector. We came in and demolished everything that's already there. It was, and by the way, the current building inspector knew I was doing this also. It's just that we were between building inspectors, the office staff was in chaos. Kurt knew I was doing this. The new building inspector knew that we were taking this all down. We spent thousands of dollars removing that site and cleaning up all the debris, including a lot of buried debris from the old thing. The building is not there anymore. It's gone. All that remains there now is the cleaned out lot. So we are not rebuilding that building. We are replacing the building that was there.
Okay.
If we were indeed rebuilding, this might be a little bit different situation. But we are replacing the building that was there. We chose to not add it to the house for several reasons. One was designed to, was a gorgeous big old tree in the middle that we tried to save. And the other was that it's still in the setbacks. It wasn't like it still would have required variance to move it. But when you go to the code, adding on the non-conforming use of the single-family house was not going to be permitted. But the barn could be replaced.
Same footprint or smaller?
Smaller. The barn was a very odd-sized barn to begin with.
Okay.
So this is a little bit smaller, and it sets back a little bit further from the road.
And its purpose would be,
Well, without a bathroom, we have to decide if it's even worth building, but we'd like to know what it is we can do there at this point. I mean, we've lost 4 months doing nothing. The place is beginning to look like a jungle down there.
okay.
That's, you know-
All the more reason that I feel we should table this and give you an opportunity to explore with the building inspector what it is that you can do.
There is no exploration with the building inspector, Carl, believe me.
He feels that-
The answer lies with this board. It does not lie with the building
So
inspector.
what is it that
He
you are,
cannot give me a permit for what I want.
what are you proposing? I mean, you gave us one,
Here, this is what he's proposing.
This is what I was
okay,
proposing.
that's what I'm trying to find in my.
But what Carl is saying is,
What you have,
Yes, mine, Dad.
what Carl is saying is, if we don't grant you what you're asking for, but we grant you it without the bathroom,
2 by 2 story garage.
I have no problem with that, Rich.
An art studio and a bathroom. So
Put a
you
clean
are
smoke in
proposing
it.
now a 24 by 24
Two-story barn.
two-story garage?
Well, would be 2 stories of garage, second floor would have to be richer storage.
No, but would the downstairs, would the lower level be a
Yes,
garage
absolutely.
used for the storage of automobiles?
Absolutely.
Okay, with habitable space, and I think habitable space is a problem. An art studio, does an art studio have a sink in it?
Yes. Does a garage have a faucet for the hose?
That's true. Do they? They don't always.
Well, I have a hose in my garage, but
Okay.
I might just be special.
You, Richie, you know you're special. A bathroom on the second floor. So what would you put on the second floor then?
Just a space,
Whatever was there before, was around the bathroom.
What was there before?
big space.
Storage, just big
Yeah, it's empty.
So you would be using this strictly for storage?
Unless we came back for another permit later.
Pardon?
Unless we came back for another permit later. I'm not going to illegally throw an apartment in there. That ain't
No,
going to
I'm
happen.
not saying, I'm not worried about you doing it, but if enough plumbing is put in there, somebody's gonna try
But
and
you
do
know,
it.
Catherine, when you guys approved the garage in my current house, the neighbors were afraid it would become a second apartment also.
Yes.
We can't stop what somebody might come in the future and ask for. You can, I can't. I mean, my little garage is exactly what I said I was going to build, and that's what's there. And for as long as I own it, that's what will be there. But yeah, could things, yeah. The other thing is that the zoning in that area, if I can give you a little bit of the future, should change. It shouldn't be F-zoned. It really should be gateway zoned. That whole area down there is the entrance to a nice little park the village just made a very big investment into. It's the Mediterranean and Baltic of the monopoly of New Paltz. It really is. It's awful. And the box factory and the 3 little houses that are down there are what they are because they're current grandfather, that's what they are. You're not going to change them. If you look at the zoning, if we want to change them to anything, we can change them to a riding academy, a golf course, a farm. It ain't going to happen. So if we want to see those properties down there improved, then we have to have zoning in place that's going to allow it to be improved. State code in terms of building is not going to change because the flood regulations.
Has that ever flooded?
No. If
It is
that
in the
house,
floodplain, right?
the curb is in the floodplain. But let me tell you that if that lot floods, the roof of Ferrante's will be underwater. Because
because
that's
you've
the
got-
elevation
you've
of the
got the
top of the
whole
rail.
Yeah, from the
that's
rail
the
trail.
farm.
You've got the rail trail. The rail
All the
trail
way
is
across.
like a dam up there,
All the way across.
and that's never gotten that high.
The roof of Ferrante's would be underwater if that floods. The last big storm, my brother owns the little white one, remember on the other side of the rail trail?
Yeah.
That little white one that should come, he's in Gateway zoning. The last big one where Ferrante's went underwater and actually flooded inside the
Yes.
store, it didn't come up to my brother's basement level. That bank is that high. It's deceiving, but it's that high. And then we've got the rail trail above it. So we've shot the engineering, we know where the benchmarks are. I know that the first floor of that house is out of the floodplain. It's not even in the floodplain, the curb is.
Oh, because it goes down like this.
So when it comes to building the barn, yes, I have to meet the Army Corps of Engineers specs. He's right. This is a smart building inspector, by the way, maybe one of the smartest ones we've had in a long, long time. He's right. It's going to be more costly to build that first floor. We know that. I don't think it's a reason to not grant the variance because it's going to cost us a little bit more money, but that's a building inspector building code. The zoning code says you can't make any improvements in that district. Nobody can put on decks, nobody can build garages, nobody can do anything in that district unless it's agricultural or the other things I said there. And that's his read.
What's his name next door to you?
What special
Deck
permit
on that
says
house?
golf course or the special permit?
Special permit, yeah.
Delpers were nonprofit funds.
Yeah.
Who owns the house?
Kip Ruger. Kip Ruger.
Oh, right, Kip. Didn't he put a deck on?
All kinds of decks and sheds, yes. But you know, I've been very successful in this village following the law. There's no reason to not have come here. That's why I didn't go completely crazy and go drag me and my attorneys when this first hit the fan. I did go a little crazy, but not completely. We had bulldozers and machines on the property when Richard finally came down one day and said, I gotta stop you. So, I mean, you know, this was full going ahead planned here. Can you put the barn back? Yes. Do you have to build it with respect to the floodplain standards as set by the Army Corps? Yes. Are we going to change the use on the property? No. Will it be usable space? Well, it could be an open barn for hay dancing, I guess. We could have our Virginia Reel up there.
Well, you have said in your letter here that the 1848 house has little storage, so you have a
Practically
need
none.
Yeah.
for storage.
Sure.
I'm concerned about the way the current application reads, because you're really asking us now for something different. You want to replace a 25 by 22 story with a 24 by 24. I want it to say garage. I want it to be clear that it is for storing automobiles and that upstairs is for storage. And I don't see any reason for there to be plumbing on the second floor. You know, if you want to have a spigot on the outside.
Well, Katie, you can't say for storing automobiles, because maybe you want to put snowmobiles in there, et cetera, et cetera.
No,
What does our
I don't
code
think
say?
that's what she said.
Our
The
code
bottom floor would be a
describes-
garage, and the upper floor would be storage.
Okay, if it goes
Unimproved.
along with what the village
Unimproved.
code
Yes.
says a garage is, it is a detached or attached structure used only for the storage of vehicles owned or rented by the occupant of the principal structure by his family.
Does anybody here own a garage besides me and Dave?
No, I don't have a
Do
garage.
you have a garage? No? Do you have a garage? In your house?
No.
Do you have a garage, Bob?
My garage was converted.
We do.
Most people have a rake. Most people have a lawnmower in their garage.
My garage
Most
has
people have
got
a
more
ladder in their
stuff in it
garage.
than most people
Yeah.
have, period.
Right, but Richie, I think that's not.
Yeah, and that's what we understand exactly what you're saying. We're not looking to go down there and make
I mean,
it.
if you're gonna use the second floor as the equivalent of an attic, I have no problem with that. But if it becomes
If
a
that's what
living
you approve,
space,
that's what we can do.
Okay.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
way things are written here, I think we need to have something that is written differently.
If that's the beauty of the ZBA. It's what you approve is all we can do. If you make a modification to what I've asked for, doesn't mean I have to go out and apply for a building permit and build it, because that's,
Yeah.
No,
That's what you
no, he's
approve.
right, he's right.
Yeah.
I would just rather be able to walk away with something. I've been through this, believe me, every way around the block from Sunday with the building inspector. He is in a very difficult position here. He's, you know, he knows the law, and what he reads there, he interprets it, he's not going to change it. You saw to him also?
Let me suggest some kind of closure on this. Were the board to grant the variance to allow you to modify the structure or create the structure that would have a garage on the first floor and unused space for storage on the second floor?
I would say uninhabitable space for
Uninhabitable
storage.
space for storage on the second floor. would that satisfy you? That you would be walking away with at least a decision that you could live with?
Oh, Carl, I've been doing sales for all my life, you know. I ask what I ask for until they absolutely say no. My feeling is that if this board approves that, then John and I will go back and look and see what we can do.
Okay, okay.
But we'd like to be able to walk away with something to go
Okay.
back with. I would hate to walk away from this meeting again being unresolved, is what I'm saying.
I have a question.
Yes.
If the intended use under this owner is as an art studio, then if we granted water, the ability to have water, that, it seems to me, is pretty far away from plumbing for a bathroom.
I think what you got the plumbing in there.
Yeah, but you gotta have sewage too. You can't have a bathroom without sewage. You can put water into a place, and if you don't have sewage, you don't have a bathroom.
But you could put a composting toilet, which doesn't need
Yeah, nobody's gonna do that around here.
No, I mean, I think that if what we're doing is, I sympathize with the fact that you started with a building inspector saying one thing, the situation has changed. And you might not have torn it down all the way. That I can understand, but I can't go along with putting anything in there that someone could later convert to habitable space. I mean, they're just pigeonholing people in this town all over the place. Doesn't it also have to get approval from like Ulster County Planning because it's in the floodplain?
No.
Nobody else has to approve anything but us?
No.
You sure about that?
I'm positive.
I feel a little uncomfortable not having the advice of a planner or a building inspector.
Well,
on some of
I
this.
did speak with the building inspector today, and his position was that if the studio bathroom above the garage were eliminated, it would be up to us as to whether or not we wanted to grant the variances that would allow the structure to go up as a garage with restriction that the upper space would not be habitable and would be used entirely for storage.
Because, I mean, the number of variances that are implied here
Yes.
are considerable.
Yeah, but that's primarily because he was looking for something else.
No, and that's primarily because you wouldn't have torn it down if you had been, so, I mean, I'm willing to give on those, but in terms of that it just be used as a building for storage and not.
Well, we can
water
specify
on the second
that.
floor. I'm sorry?
We can specify that
Okay, and so I'm
as
suggesting that we
a
specify.
condition to the granting of the variance.
Okay, well, I would like it.
And
written out.
then nothing, I mean, if that's written into the variance, then that's all that can be done. And nobody, even if he sells it, nobody else can
Right,
do
okay.
anything to it.
But, I mean, that's part of my point, is I want something written down very, very clearly so somebody can't come in later on. Because remember, we've had people come here and say, oh, I can't put on an apartment. Not saying it was you, but a real estate agent told me I could do it. I mean, we've literally had people here shocked that they couldn't put an apartment onto their house because someone told them they could do it.
Yeah, the woman right around the corner from me.
Well, don't get so specific. I mean, but, so I'm concerned that something be written very clearly that in the future, it's obvious what was granted.
Yeah, but when the variance
A
is,
motion that would do that.
when the variance is written up, that's what you're looking for.
Okay.
No, let her
Okay,
prepare.
Alberta, are you ready to,
Yeah.
Go slow, because I'm a little slow.
yeah, but then I gotta look at it
Getting speedier.
before I say something.
Right, is the,
Don't forget to give it back to me.
Thank you, Sally.
You're welcome.
I just have a question about the term habitable space.
Great question.
Yeah, when you look that up, there are some requirements for that habitable space. can we remove that habitable space?
You can remove whatever you like.
I think I would request that in that variance. But I wanted to just double check
Sure.
in that variance that is.
You keep that, and Sally, you take that. I've got 2 copies.
I think I have notes on mine, so I'll trade you.
Oh, you want to trade? Okay,
Yeah.
trade.
Same thing.
Sorry.
No, I wrote myself notes.
She wrote herself notes.
I don't
Okay.
give my notes away.
So,
So your fear is someone would put in an apartment in the future at some point in that building?
yes.
And that's
It is.
one of the things that I know that we have to think about is not just how it's being used right now, but how it will be used 10, 20, 50 years down the road.
But some people use it illegally.
No, I'm
Because
not
obviously they could come
I'm
in
not
here.
thinking illegally. I'm assuming everybody's going to behave legally.
Yeah.
But I like to think in the long term because I live on Church Street and I look at stuff on Church Street and I think, you know, if they
Yeah.
had just like, not to digress,
And
but none of the property lines are parallel to the street. Everything's a parallelogram. So if you try to build parallel to the street, inevitably you end up before the Zoning Board of Appeals or with a really bizarre looking house.
And as Rich said, it's not about the personal use, it's about the property use. So this is,
Yeah.
everything has to do with property.
No, I mean, I trust you guys.
Yeah.
But, you know, a long life to you. But eventually, it gets sold. And I think that it's our responsibility, you know, just as people have left us the village as it is, it's a charming place to live, we have a responsibility to generations hence.
That's why I want to live in the village. I want to be part of it.
Right, no, I understand, but I'm thinking not necessarily about you guys, but maybe 20, 50 years from now.
So if I need more space, would it be more likely to approve an addition on the house?
We can't tell you that. I mean, we can't play that kind of game.
I just need more space. I want to know how I can go about getting that done.
Well, you have to
Well,
talk to the
maybe.
building inspector.
I know how he feels. We know how he feels.
Well, go buy another house.
I just wanted to live there. I wanted to live that house on the rail trail.
And that's fine. And so, you know, we all have to make trade-offs in life. We have a responsibility. We are not elected people. We're appointed. And we can't just start granting variances because you're a nice guy. I'd love to be able to do it, but it's not a power invested in us.
Katie,
We
would
can't
you-
legislate for
Katie,
this.
make your motion,
Would you
please.
Yes.
raise a motion that
Yes.
would satisfy?
Okay, I move that we approve a 24 by, let me get
24.
this piece of paper on a little bit, just sorry guys.
Second page. Or so.
I have this, Sally's got different pages in hers. Here, this is what I'm looking for. So we're going to approve a 24 by 24 replacement 2-story garage
Hold on.
upon the original footprint of the previous 25 by 25 2-story structure. The second story,
Hold it. Sorry.
sorry, I'm getting,
You're not taking shorthand, kid.
No, never learned.
I'm sorry.
Of the. I'm sorry, you said the original was 25 by,
25 by 25.
okay. I move that we approve a 24 by 24 replacement 2-story garage upon the original footprint of the 25 by 25.
It was a barn, right? Barn. The second story of this structure shall be used for storage purposes and not contain
And not be
no,
inhabitable.
I'm watching your
Okay.
hands.
Used for storage.
And not contain any habitable space. Does that sound good, guys?
Okay.
Do you want to indicate that the first floor will be garage?
I said that the structure is a garage. So by calling it a garage, I'm using the, perhaps we should say private garage, which is the definition in the code. So then I think we do not have to specify that it is a structure used only for the storage of vehicles owned or rented by the occupant of the principal structure or by his family.
Well, that's already in it. I think we
That's
don't have to
that's
say-
That's what
implicit
you're
by
saying.
saying private garage.
Yeah, we don't
Can you
have
read
to
it
say-
back to us?
I move that we approve a 24 by 24 replacement two-story private garage upon the original footprint of the 25 by 25 barn. The second story of this structure shall be, come on, used for storage and not contain any habitable space.
Okay.
I second it.
Discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed, like sign. Unanimous.
Good, thank you.
And thank you.
I took a,
That was a long haul. You gonna have the backhoe down there tomorrow?
I would,
we have a lot of talking to do. But one other thing I'd like to ask is that your board lobby these guys for some more building inspector time. We really need it. Even from the planning board standpoint. we
They have
really
written a note
need it.
to, they wrote a note to the village board prior to the action regarding the planner. So they are on record, even with
Oh.
the planner, asking for more building inspector time.
The planner is one thing, but without the building inspector, I mean, there are so many new violations all over town. It's incredible.
Yeah.
We
It's
know.
incredible. We have places with, open
Enforcement
gas
has
tanks in the parking
been a
lot. We've got
consistent
places
problem.
with
It's very
handicap ramps that are missing because we don't have a building inspector on.
And then there are even simple, just things that overflowing dumpsters. You know, nobody's life is at stake, but it certainly puts the village, the quality of life
Yes.
in the village.
I mean, the breadwinner of this family called the village is our property. Because that's what brings in the taxes.
Yeah.
That's what puts the bread on the
I
table.
agree.
Why
As soon
did
as
we
we
go
start
from-
ignoring the real estate, we're going to start having a lot of troubles here, and it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
And having a building inspector, and as good as he is, and believe me, Richard's a very good building inspector, I wish he could work 40 hours a week.
Why did we go from 2 building inspectors to a part-time building inspector?
Can you close the meeting and go off record
Yes, I
and
move we adjourn the meeting.
I don't want to adjourn the meeting.
Oh.
I want to go into executive session.
Okay, I move we go into executive session.
Second.
Sorry, guys.
Means I can't join the discussion on it?
no, but before we go into
Would
executive
you
session,
say, please?
would you put a letter to the village board making that request? Because I agree with you.
Yeah, actually, I've got a meeting tomorrow with Maurice too to talk about getting a formal one in from the planning board. It's getting
It's-
crazy.
I-
We're offline, right?
Right?
You can leave now.
You have to leave now. It's not your...
I wanted him to finish.
The question is, do you want me to stick around? or-
Thank you.